Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to the show. This July 4th, there won't be a show on that particular morning, and I want to wish all of you guys out there a happy July 4th. Today is July 1st. This is Canadian equivalent of July 4th, but I'm on here to do the markets for you guys, but I'm just going to do a quick version of the markets here. And then I'm going to get off and do some celebrating, later this afternoon. So anyway, let's get started. Let's open up the charts right here, and let's take a look now at the silver price. $15.16. It suffered. It's down 12% on the day so far. That's not good. I'm going to tell you, really, honestly. Let's take a look at the gold price first right here. $13.92 bid, $13.93 ask. Gold got knocked down too, It's back down into the 1300s. Here's the thing. We're heading into a recession, guys. And I'm going to talk about that as soon as I get done doing the markets right here. I'm going to do the markets real quick, and I want to talk about this for a minute, because suddenly an idea went through my head last night, and I want to talk to you guys about it. Anyway, let's take a look now at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has really suffered in the last 48 hours or so. And the price is down big. It's $10,707. You remember we were up at $13,800. $10,707 right now. So we've had a significant price decline in Bitcoin over the last week from its highs. It's come down significantly. Right now. And let's take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations. Let me just refresh the page. 310.8 billion, 61.2% Bitcoin dominance, and all the coins are in the red. Litecoin's held up pretty good. It's at $120 really, considering the big price drops we've had, the big price moves. Because Litecoin went up to about 145, and now it's back down to 120. So we've seen some huge price moves in the cryptocurrencies. I'll tell you, an awful lot of things are going to react to this next recession. This next recession's coming, whether they like it or not. But I'm going to get to the thought I had. Let's just move through the markets a little bit more. We see the Dow Jones is up 253 points on the day. And they got satisfied with what happened on the weekend with the big meeting that they had between the presidents of the United States and the Chinese equivalent. I have trouble pronouncing his name. Sorry. Anyway, they had a big meeting. They hashed things out a little bit. Not really. They're still dug in firm to their positions, but they gave the markets hope. And that's all the markets needed to hear. The market's up 253 points on the day, almost 1%, 26,853 on the day. Now let's take a look at oil. Oil now has dropped back. It's dropped back a little bit, but it's up $59.80. It's up $1.33 on the day so far. A lot of this has to do with tensions in the Persian Gulf region, around the Gulf of Oman, and also in that little area around the Strait of Hormuz. There's a lot of tensions in there. Now, they were talking over putting restrictions on the White House as far as taking any action against Iran. But now, at this point, this stage in the game, they've decided not to put any hampers or any restrictions on President Trump. So he can do what he wants. He can basically, from what I gather, Anyway, let's move on to U.S. Treasuries today. And what we're looking at is rising yields. Not significantly rising, though. Only one of the highest rises is on the U.S. 2-year. It's risen 1.8 basis points. So that's the highest. 1.8 also on the U.S. 3-month. But yields are rising a little bit today. They're falling on the short end of the yield curve. So we're moving a little bit less out of that yield curve inversion on the day when we get rising yields like we do today. But it'll probably not last very long. I'm not expecting it to last very long. I'm expecting them to go back into buying up these treasuries. They're frightened. The market's frightened. And this is a safe haven asset. The dollar's probably next. But, you know, it's the worst places that they can run to. Why are they running into the worst things that they can run into, ultimately, as this thing plays itself out? And the first stage of this enormous financial crisis, it's called a recession, that's coming. And the first stage of it is going to be deflationary. And so it's going to prove advantageous to run into treasuries and run into the dollar in the first little bit, until the world's central banks have to react and print money. They cannot get off of this monetary enhancement that they're doing. And I'm going to explain the reasons why in a second. I'm getting to it. Let me take a look here at the dollar index today, 96.47. I'm expecting a boost to the dollar from this oncoming inflation in the initial phase of the crisis. So that's what I'm expecting. Let's take a look here at China. China slumps into a full-blown manufacturing contraction. So I've been telling you guys about this for a while. It's finally starting to become official. Months ago, I showed you guys the heat signatures from their factories and how everything slowed down and almost stopped in their factories. Well, here it is in print. China slumps into a full-blown manufacturing contraction. A contraction. So that's a manufacturing recession already in China. The next step is for all of China to be in a recession. So China's undergoing a major slowdown. Now, let's take a look at this chart right here for a second. And this chart's very telling. You see these pink lines? These are recessions. And we get a recession about every 5 or 10 years, you know. All the way through history we've had them. This is looking back for a long time. I can't get in real close to this chart, but this is going back a long time, this chart. This is a very old chart, but it shows the pink lines are recessions. And it shows we get periodical recessions. They come periodically. And they have all along. And if you look at the distance between these pink lines, what you'll notice here is that we're due. Now, if you look at the blue line, every time that blue line drops down, we get bang, a recession. Drops down, bang, a recession. Drops down, bang, a recession. All the way through, right? And without fail. Without fail. And look where that blue line's done right now. It's dropped right down. It's ready for a recession right now. This is what it's telling us. And this is such a telling sign that we're ready for a recession that it's absolutely positive we're going to get a recession. Well, here's the thing. I had an idea went through my head last night. And you ever had one of these ideas that go through your head once in a while, and once it goes through your head, you know that's true. You say, that's true. You realize that's true. You know it's true. As soon as it goes through your head, the idea, you know it's true. Well, here's the idea that went through my head. We can't have a recession. And I got thinking about that for a minute. And I thought back around 2008, the recession we had in 2008. But we had it, but we couldn't have it, and that's why it caused the crisis. It caused the crisis because we had reached a point in our debt expansion in 2008 where we had expanded the debt so far that the system was so over-leveraged that we couldn't handle a recession. But the recession came. Even though we couldn't handle it, it came. And it started to melt the system down. And that's why they had to go to this monetary over-stimulus of everything. This crazy stimulus they went into. But all that does is just make the problem worse. It expands the credit even further and creates distortions within the system. So that's what happened. We had a recession in 2008, that we couldn't have. It's like when a bank fails, when a bank can't fail. You know, they say no, too big to fail bank, and it fails anyway. That's what happened. We had the recession. But the system couldn't handle it. Way back in 2008, the system couldn't handle it. So they've pumped the problem that caused it so that the system couldn't handle an ordinary recession, like we've had many, many, many times before. The problem that caused that, they didn't fix it. Instead of fixing it, they've made it worse now. So if we couldn't have a recession in 2008, we are still at that point where we cannot handle even the smallest recession. We can't handle it. The system can't handle it. It'll melt down. The same as in 2008. But we're going to have it. Just the same as in 2008. It was going to occur, and it happened. Well, that same thing's going to happen again this time. Except that means that this recession is going to be that much worse. And we can't handle it. We can't have it. So what are they going to do? Well, the same thing they did back in 2008. Except they're going to have to do it an awful lot bigger this time around. And back in 2008, after 2008, when they came in with all the quantitative stimulus, you know, quantitative tightening and everything, which has become now a common word. People understand what quantitative easing is. Back then, people didn't know. You know, this was all new to them. There's going to be new policies that can come out with this time that we've never heard of before. We never heard of quantitative easing before. Now they're going to come out with new stuff that we've never heard of, but it's all going to be inflationary. And you know what? Last time, in around 2013, 2014, when they were in around the middle of their big stimulus programs and everything else, everybody was talking about us going into a hyperinflation. Well, the thing is they didn't inject the money directly into the system in a way that would cause a hyperinflation, but they did cause inflation that we're experiencing now, a carryover effect, and they did stimulate the economy enough where we were able to claim to have an economic recovery that wasn't real. It wasn't a real economic recovery. This time around, it's going to be entirely different. This time around, they're going to push the system over the edge into the hyperinflation that almost happened in 2014. But we got to wait for the Fed's reaction. First, we're going to get the downturn, the recession. It's going to come in, it's going to come in hard, and it's going to come in very, very soon. Because if you take a look at this chart again, you'll see that once you get down around a certain point, with this unemployment chart, with that blue line there, once it gets down to a certain point, we have the recession. And we're down to that point right now. We might go a little bit lower, which means a few more months. Which means we could last a few more months until the recession comes in. But once this recession comes, it's going to hit really hard. It's going to be deflationary at first, for the first few little, maybe only weeks, deflationary. And then the banks and the Federal Reserve and everything are going to respond to it. That's when the inflation comes. And this is going to be runaway inflation this time. So we're going to have the worst of all worlds for the middle class people out there. You got to protect yourself from this. Positively. Precious metals, and once you get your listen guys, I'm going to tell you what, you know, I know there's guys out there that are all Bitcoin. They don't like gold or silver, you know. I'm going to tell you what, you should put your precious metals away first. Have some precious metals put away, and then go out and get yourself a little bit of cryptocurrency. And you got to protect yourself from this thing. You also need food, water, toilet paper, all these kind of things. You know, because this thing is coming. It's coming fast. Nobody's going to stop it. And it's going to hit overnight. When it hits, it's going to hit so suddenly. You're going to wake up some morning, you're going to go in, and the markets are going to be in turmoil. It's going to hit. It's going to hit quick. You know? Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.